President Trump has long preached the protections afforded by extreme vetting, but he claimed the practice would not have offered any additional safeguards ahead of Sunday's mass shooting at a Texas church. Speaking at a joint press conference alongside South Korean President Moon Jae-in in Seoul, Trump dismissed questions about an extreme vetting policy for gun ownership, claiming it would make no difference. He continued to suggest that utilizing such a practice might have prevented the very brave person, who attempted to neutralize shooter Devin Patrick Kelly, from obtaining his own firearm. The 26-year-old gunman on Sunday killed 26 people and injured at least 20 more after he opened fire during a church service in Sutherland Springs. The victims range in age from 17 months to 77 years old, authorities said. Chung Sung-jung, Getty Images. I can only say this, if he didn't have a gun, instead of having 26 dead, you have hundreds more dead, Trump said Wednesday. So that's the way I feel about it. Trump's comments come despite the fact that the Air Force on Monday admitted it failed to file Kelly's domestic violence court-martial, which would have barred him from purchasing the weapon he used to kill and injure dozens of people at the Texas church. It's far from the first time Trump has discussed an extreme vetting policy in wake of terrorist incidents, though it is one of the few occasions where HES voiced his opposition to it. Here's a look at the situations in which the president claims vetting could prove beneficial to the United States. On the campaign trail, the president made mention of vetting those from Muslim-majority countries several times throughout his bid for the country's top office, but ramped up his call during an August 2016 campaign rally in Youngstown, Ohio. We should only admit into this country those who share our values and respect our people, he told crowds last year. In the Cold War, we had an ideological screening test. The time is overdue to develop a screening test for the threats we face today. I call it vetting. I call it extreme vetting. In the months that followed, Trump continued to call for stricter policies and took credit for coining the term extreme vetting. He also hinted at signing the practice into law should he be elected president. In September, he said attacks like 9/11 had been made possible by our extremely open immigration system. It's time to put firm immigration controls in place. Extreme vetting. That is why on my first day in office, I will immediately suspend the admission of Syrian refugees. Executive order. In the early days of his presidency, Trump tried to make good on his promises by signing an executive order that immediately barred entry into the U.S. for the citizens of Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen. It also halted the refugee program for 120 days, but indefinitely banned all Syrian refugees' entrance to the United States. You're going to see. We're going to have extreme vetting in all cases. And I mean extreme. And we're not letting people in if we think there's even a little chance of some problem, Trump said during a January interview with ABC's David Muir. We are excluding certain countries, but for other countries, we're going to have extreme vetting. It's going to be very hard to come in. Right now, it's very easy to come in. It's going to be very hard. I don't want terror in this country. You look at what happened in San Bernardino. You look at what happened all over. You look at what happened in the World Trade Center. Okay, I mean, take that as an example. The latest version of the travel ban was temporarily blocked by a Hawaii judge in October. Manhattan terror attack. HANDOUTREUTERS. The same day Sayfullo Saipov drove a rented pickup truck through pedestrians and cyclists on a popular Manhattan bike trail, Trump took to Twitter to again discuss vetting. I have just ordered Homeland Security to step up our already extreme vetting program. Being politically correct is fine, but not for this, he wrote. He followed up with another tweet the next day: the United States will be immediately implementing much tougher extreme vetting procedures. The safety of our citizens comes first. Boston Marathon bombing and San Bernardino shooting. The president has repeatedly cited the deadly 2013 marathon bombing that killed 3 and left hundreds more injured during calls for softer gun control laws and harsher vetting practices. The Boston bombers, what a horrible thing that was, arrived through the political asylum process, he said, told crowds last August. That's wonderful. We take them, right, we take them. And you see what happened. How violent and vicious and horrible was that, and if they're not here, we don't have that incident that killed so many and so badly wounded so many. In the same speech, he continued on to cite the shooting in San Bernardino to bolster his claims. In Paris, where they just walked in, and the same with San Bernardino, they walked in, Trump said. And this is all over the world now. This is now all over the world, and we are letting people come in from terrorist nations that shouldn't be allowed because you can't vet them. He recently echoed the comments on Twitter, writing, "Making America safe is my #1 priority. We will not admit those into our country we cannot safely vet."